Among the stars lurk a bunch of weirdos and bizarre intergalactic threats. At least, that's what you might see if you look up at the night sky in the Marvel universe. Oh hey, it's Korvac. This is definitely one of the weirdest weirdos out there for me. Even his name sounds so cosmically weird and just fantastic. Xemnu. That's who we're talking about. Xemnu. Reminds me of Xanadu. Although Xemnu himself, to be clear, is not at all related to that 80s Olivia Newton-John fantasy musical classic. Sadly. I actually really love Xanadu. Xemnu instead is a Hulk villain. He was an alien cyborg prisoner who escaped from exile only to crash land on Earth. And it gets weirder. Xemnu initially hoped to control the minds of the people of Earth and get them to build him a new spaceship. The problem? Other than him being a criminal, this spaceship he'd have built was so powerful that its launch would in essence destroy Earth. Xemnu is a psionic being who can hypnotize his victims and control their minds. He can also use hosts to heal himself, in essence transforming their body into his until there is nothing resembling them or their mind left. Disturbing? I'll say. Even stranger, Xemnu was technically the first character to be known as the Hulk before Bruce Banner even. Xemnu is actually the original Hulk. Are there any other characters like that you're like surprised that are the original that we don't think of today? Let me know in the comments if you have anyone else. Pretty much everything about Korvac is weird. He is a villain from the future who primarily is based in outer space. He's been a villain of the Avengers and the future-based Guardians of the Galaxy, the original Guardians of the Galaxy, but also at one point achieved ultimate cosmic power, which allowed him to put aside his plots of revenge and his power seeking, and instead seek to rule simply to make the Earth and the cosmos a better, more fair, peaceful, and just place. Still kind of stayed as a villain, but I just love that he's like, you know what, maybe this villain thing is messed up, maybe I should try a better thing. Still gonna rule everyone though. Yeah. The Builders are still a fairly new addition to the Marvel Rogues Gallery, just over a decade old at this point. After first appearing in the comics back in 2012, the Builders are a race of beings who claim to have created most of the known worlds in the universe. Yeah, seeding worlds and influencing the development of civilizations for eons, or so they claim. They are also said to be a perfect race of beings, and when the multiverse appeared to be dying as a result of incursions, they actually took it upon themselves to clean up the mess by basically wiping out complete worlds and empires. They did this to kind of hit the reset button. I also love that they call themselves perfect, and like I'm just like looking at them and I'm like, I guess that's what perfect looks like, kind of like a bug. The fact that they tried to basically reset the universe though did put them at the odds with the heroes during the Infinity crossover event, which is how, yeah, they're villains. The one who we know as the Beyonder is in fact only a young member of a group of others known as such. The Beyonder is a mysterious cosmic being who became trapped on our Earth and then obsessed with the fact that everyone on Earth was only a part of themselves. As the Beyonder also realized there were many different alternate universes in which they all seemed to also live, making up their total character, something which of course many Earth beings were just not aware of. He was the one responsible for creating the first battle world in the original Secret Wars event, where he pitted heroes and villains against one another. He is known for his ability to manipulate reality and for his apparently limitless power when it comes to his mental and physical strength. The Beyonder also returned for Secret Wars 2, also a very wacky and kind of weird event, where he instead simply sought to experience basically what it was like to be human, or at the very least an Earthling, and he just like lived on Earth for a bit and people were really weirded out and uncomfortable with it because the original Secret Wars had already happened at that point. Annihilus is weird in the most comic book way for a villain. He hails from the negative zone and is insectoid-like in his appearance. Annihilus basically has a cosmic magic wand known as the Cosmic Control Rod that he uses in his attempt to take over the negative zone. In more recent appearances, however, Annihilus chose to wear this rod as a sort of like protective accessory, using it to protect himself against naturally occurring dangers such as aging, as well as heat and cold, in addition to gaining the ability to fly through space. He also initially became a villain of the Fantastic Four because they basically borrowed this magic wand, the Cosmic Rod, to help treat the Invisible Woman during her pregnancy. Maybe they should have asked first? Although admittedly, they did return it after, so. Impossible Man is one of my all-time favorite weirdos from the cosmic realm of Marvel Comics. He's also kind of like a light threat. He's not super threatening, but he sometimes is kind of accidentally. He's kind of like Marvel's equivalent of DC's fifth-dimensional imp, Mr. Mxyzptlk. Impossible Man hails from the planet Pop-Up and is known as a Pop-Upian. He is often depicted as being more of a misguided villain than a malicious one. For the most part, he gets into trouble with heroes because of usually a misunderstanding, or because he has like a real true love for pranking. Like Mr. Mixie, he is sometimes an ally to the heroes, who he also has been known to torment, and is known for being pretty intensely powerful, having molecular manipulation powers which allow him to change his form, shapeshift, and he can even duplicate himself. Also, he's got a very goofy design that honestly reminds me of a cross between Mr. Mixie and the Coneheads. Man, I love the Coneheads. This hungry supervillain that we're about to talk about is so ingrained in the existence of the universe that we once learned in the comics in an alternate universe that eliminating him would actually be a bad idea. Yeah, even though he's a villain. In this alternate universe, and of course it's implied in the main continuity, Galactus is a necessary constant, and when he was defeated in the alternate reality, and this was revealed, it actually prompted Franklin Richards to take his place. Yeah, there's an alternate reality where Franklin Richards becomes Galactus. I know. The multiverse, anything is possible. Galactus was once a scientist known as Galen, trying to save his home world from the end of not just their world, but kind of the entire universe. Sadly, he realized that resistance was futile here, and he and the rest of his people decided to just accept their fate and instead just like fly into their own doom. Miraculously though, Galen somehow survived and found himself actually chosen. He was granted great cosmic power, but with great cosmic power for him came great hunger, causing him to eventually become the devourer of worlds that we so famously know him as. So yeah, definitely a threat, but not always meaning to be like malicious about it. Although he might not be as bizarre as some of the other villains mentioned here, I'll let you decide, but for me he's up there. Cordyceps Jones is still a pretty out of this world villain. Literally. He first appeared back in 2017 in Rocket issue number 4 and was created by Al Ewing and Adam Gorham. Cordyceps Jones is known for having a salacious reputation across the cosmos. He is a 30,000-year-old fungal parasite who, due to his longevity, has made an intergalactic fortune and is known for owning many successful casinos across the cosmos. Space casinos, my favorite kind of casino. Recently, he appeared in the X-Men series where he seemed to be threatening the existence of Earth, setting up a bet for fun to see who can basically be the first to wipe out Earth. Needless to say, the X-Men were not pleased to learn of that and actually planned a casino heist with the help of Gambit's friend and their ally Rocket Raccoon in order to deal with Cordyceps Jones. And spoiler alert, they did. Yeah. You don't want to go up against Jean Grey, you know what I mean? I don't care how old you are of a fungal parasite. Magus is the evil version of Adam Warlock, and we all know how powerful Adam Warlock is. Magus, being his dark equivalent, is extremely dangerous and also has a willing army at his disposal in his own church that he created, the Universal Church of Truth, which, while it sounds probably pretty nice, is actually not very nice at all. They would harshly purify any planets who refused to accept their offer to join them, exterminating all who resisted. Across the cosmos. Yeah, pretty awful. Being that Magus is the negative side of Adam Warlock, he possesses all of his abilities and powers. The evil side of Adam Warlock, Magus' story is a pretty complex one as well. One that is filled with general cosmic confusion, but I'm gonna try to simplify it a little bit for you here. Basically, Magus was created to oppose Thanos. He bumped around through time and he found himself educated by chaos and order, and he used what he learned as principles with which he built a faith and created the Universal Church of Truth, using this religion to fuel an intergalactic holy war. Yeah. Marcus Immortus has to be one of the weirdest cosmic villains we have ever had in the comics, hence why he is all the way up here on this list. Initially introduced as Carol Danvers' one true love, Marcus Immortus made his first appearance in the infamous Avengers issue number 200. Yep, we're talking about Avengers 200 again. From that issue, it would be made to seem as though Marcus was kind of the fated love of Carol Danvers. Although when you laid out his full origin, it was beyond weird, and his behavior here actually seems more downright criminal. Marcus was the baby that Carol gave birth to, a seemingly immaculate conception at first sight. We'd later learn that Marcus was also the baby's father. Just come along with me here. Basically, Marcus abducted Carol because she reminded him of his mom and he seduced her. He then slept with her in Limbo, where he was trapped at that time, before releasing her back to her own dimension, back to Earth, without any memories of what had gone on in Limbo. His Limbo, not Magic's Limbo, just to be clear, they're separate. Carol was his means of escape, as he was able to be reborn in her dimension through her, which was how she had become pregnant, and also how she gave birth to the man who was once her lover, and then he became her son, but he was still himself. He grows up really fast. It's weird. The part where Marcus is made to seem as Carol's one true love comes from her confusion surrounding whether or not to go back to Limbo with Marcus. She feels bad. She's like, he's gonna be alone and maybe I love him, I don't know. This all happens after it's discovered that his presence in her dimension is actually causing it to basically crumble, and she just realizes I guess she has feelings for him. Ms. Marvel leaves the Avengers, weirdly choosing to ride off into the sunset back to Limbo with Marcus. And at the end we all stood there and went, wait a minute, that was a love story? That sounded like a villain. That's about it for this one. I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.